if you're new to astrophotography or you want to move up from a smart telescope, in today's video I'm going to show you how to put together a deep sky imaging rig from scratch. So this is my equatorial mount and tripod. These are a bunch of things that I'm going to show you. Now everyone's setup's going to be slightly different, but there are some common themes, so this video should be useful. So for deep sky imaging, you need some kind of ideally some kind of equatorial tracking mount. This is a harmonic drive, but you may have a German mount, a German equatorial mount, which has a counterbalance that you have to balance between the weight and the telescope. I'll link to a video showing how to balance that in the comments below. But for this type of mount, on a harmonic drive mount, you don't need to worry about balancing. So it's both lighter and it's a bit more simple to set up, but these do generally cost a little bit more. Anyway, I'm using a refractor today. You may be using a reflector, but the same principles apply. So my first step would be to mount the refractor, but before I do that, I've set the equatorial mount to my local latitude. So if I do need to make any adjustments with everything aboard, it's only going to be small adjustments. Now you've got a saddle here. This one's a dual saddle, so we've got a wider Losmondi and narrower Vixen saddle. This is a Vixen saddle plate. I'm going to clamp that onto there, slide that in, lock it in place. If this was a German equatorial mount, a gem mount, we'd need to balance that declination axis once we've got everything aboard here, but we don't need to worry so much with this one, although I might just move that a little bit forward. Let's go for about there. Extend the dew shield. Now, next thing will be connecting the camera. Now, this is set up, it's got a visual back on the back, so I'm going to unscrew that. That will reveal a thread on the back, and whether you're using a Newtonian or a refractor, you'll likely want to use some kind of flattener. It's a flattener with a refractor, and it's often called a coma corrector with a Newtonian, and those basically flatten the field so the stars are nice and round across the frame of your sensor. So my next job will be to pop that on the back. I usually have a hurricane blower and just blow stuff to make sure there's no dust getting in the imaging train anywhere. Now, if you were setting up a dedicated astronomy camera, this is a cooled camera. This is a ZWO SI533. Coma correctors and flatteners usually have 55mm backspacing. This one has 92 for some reason, so this one's a bit different, but usually they have 55mm backspacing. So if you've got a dedicated astronomy camera, it usually come with the spacers to give you that backspacing. I'll just take that filter off, that will come into play in a moment. So normally for most setups, you'd be screwing the adapters that came with your camera directly to the back of the field flattener or coma corrector. This one requires more backspacing, so there's an extra adapter to go on here to give that spacing, and it's also threaded to take this 2-inch light pollution filter. So usually your setup may be different. It may be the case that your light pollution filter or whatever filter you're using will screw to the flattener or the coma corrector on that side. But in this example, it fits in the imaging train inside that extension. Now, the camera will simply screw on the back, like so. Now, if you want to use a DSLR or a mirrorless camera, you'll need a T-ring for your brand of camera. and I'll show you that now. So in this example, I want to attach my full frame Sony A7R, so I'll remove the lens. And I have a T-ring for this specific camera. It's a Sony T-ring. This one's M48 threaded. You can get smaller M42 threaded ones, but the thread on the back of here is M48, plus I need a larger M48 thread to cover the larger sensor of this camera. So in this case, I'm going to screw it on the back. And this basically takes the place of those spacers that come with the Astronomy camera. These threads can be quite fine, so it can be quite hard to get these on. Come on. Come on. There we go. Okay. And now the camera, we'll just click onto there now. I can find the position, and then the camera just clicks into position, and we can reorientate that. A lot of telescopes like this will have a rotator that you can just make adjustments to, and there we have it. So that's the imaging train set up for a mirrorless camera. You buy the T-ring for your brand of camera, and that'll be the correct fitness to give you 55mm back spacing, which is the correct spacing for the majority of flatteners or coma correctors. That's fine if you just want to take fairly short exposures, but to track really accurately over a long period of time, you need something called a guide scope, which is a separate little telescope and mini camera that's job is to lock onto a star, and when it notices that star starting to drift, it will send a command to the mount to make the correct adjustments, and it's doing that in real time, so it will constantly take a picture every 1 or 2 or 3 seconds of a star. If it notices it drifting, it will send that command to the mount to make the necessary adjustments. These usually have a little foot on them. This one is basically an adapted 50mm finder from a telescope, where I've used an adapter to screw a planetary camera on the back of there. And the telescopes often come with these finder shoes. I've added an extra one onto this one, which you'll see the reason why in a moment, but I'll put this on the left side. Now we need something to control everything. A computer. I use a mini computer called a ZWO ASI Air. This little device here. It's a little Wi-Fi computer. You can also power things like dew heaters and autofocusers from these outputs here. Although you only have a certain amount of power to play with, we're using a 5 amp supply to power this, and each of these ports is a maximum of 3 amps, and you can deliver a total of 6 amps out of here at any one go across all these ports. There's 2 that side, there's 2 that side, but we generally only power it with 5 amps, and these take a bit of power to actually run the ASI Air itself, so you've only got about 4.5 amps to play with. This is important to know, because if you want to run lots of accessories like a dew heaters, an autofocuser, things like that, a cooled camera, then I'd recommend giving this ASI Air its own power supply and the mount its own power supply. However, in this case, I'm going to be setting up with a camera with its own battery, and my guide scope just powers off a USB, so it's hardly drawing anything. So there's enough power to run through here, power the ASI Air and power the mount as well, because that's only going to draw about 2 amps on average. So I'm only going to use one power supply for this example, but just know that if you're running a lot of peripheries, a lot of extra bits and bobs on your setup, that it's best to use a separate power supply. Now I've added an extra shoe to this telescope so I can attach it here, but you can use Velcro or anything really. These are quite light, so you don't need to worry too much how they're attached. If I can get this one on, nice. That was a tight fit on there because the bolts were in the way. We got there in the end. And this antenna's, because this is Wi-Fi controlled, so you can control all aspects of the imaging rig from your phone, and that includes polar alignment, plate solving, where it takes pictures of the sky so it knows where it is, so it can go to and track objects. Also gives you a database of objects to go to. You can control focus, and then the guiding we spoke about as well. And you can also control an autofocuser that attaches to the coarse focuser knob, but I've not got one for this setup. So these are really handy to have. It saves you running multiple programs from a PC to control it, or or having a handset and then just having the back of the screen on your camera. I'd recommend using, if you don't want to use the ZWO one, there are other brands available, but these work with ZWO cameras, Canon, Sony and Nikon cameras, so they are open to quite a lot of different cameras nowadays. So next, the first thing I'll do is we'll connect the regulated power supply. I'm running, as mentioned, I'm running through the ASI Air to the mount, so this is going to plug into the power input on the ASI Air Mini, and then I'm going to grab another power cable from an output to the mount. So we've got power going into the ASI Air, and we daisy chained this to the mount, so we're indirectly powering the mount through the ASI Air. Next, we want to connect the guide camera to the ASI Air so they can speak to each other. And they do so, and it's powered. It communicates and powers just using this USB-A to USB-B cable, and that's included with the camera when you buy it, a ZWO camera. And that just plugs into the USB slot there at the bottom. There's 4 of them. Right, next I want the mount to communicate with the ASI Air, so this one's a USB-C to USB-B, I believe, so that can go in there and stick into another USB slot there. And the ASI Air does have some memory, but I prefer to use a memory stick and plug that in. Okay, now if you're using a cooled camera, the cooled camera would both need to be powered from here, so you'd have another one of these 2.1 cables going from the other port to the camera to power the cooler, and also that camera would need to communicate with this as well, so you'd have another cable going to the USB slot there. But I'm going to basically use the screen on the back of this camera and plug in an intervalometer and just use this separately. I'll make sure that's all tight beforehand before I do some imaging with this. So that's basically it. We're set up. So the next job will be me to test this out under the stars, but that's a quick video I wanted to do whilst I was setting this up anyway, just in case it helped anybody. But if you've got any questions, put them down below. I'll try and find time to answer them. Can get pretty busy around here, but I'll do my best. And yeah, hope you enjoyed the video. Hope it was useful. Big thank you to my channel members and patrons. Hit the bell button and subscribe if you like the content. Give me a thumbs up, and hope to see you on the next video.